You seem to have caught me. Speedrunning, the destruction of Russia. Or as this title of the video of or as what the title of this video is probably going to be, a World War II scenario. But it's basically just speedrunning Russia's downfall. Now, how would this war hypothetically start? Well, it's going to start with the war in Ukraine. As most of you, I hope, would know, or, if you live under a rock, you don't. No. As most of you know, Russia has not just, is losing land to Ukraine around this region, I think. I don't know, probably should have pulled up a map before this, but that would be a smart thing, and therefore impossible for me to do. So, let's say that Russia says, I will launch a nuclear weapon on Ukraine if you don't stop your advance right now. And then let's say Ukraine doesn't stop its advance. Yeah, so now Kiev is currently atomic wasteland. Not that big. Not that big. But you get what I mean. It's an atomic wasteland, and the world has just turned against Russia. China and India cut ties. Pakistan is pissed off. Iran is so very pleased and says, drop one on Israel right now. But more importantly, we see the West saying enough is enough, and a lot of countries begin to declare war on Russia. These countries include the United States of America, the good ally of Canada, and that is how it's pronounced. We see Poland get on to this conflict because it's Poland. Of course, it's going to go to war with Russia. The Scandinavian countries join, France and England join, Germany joins for easier connection to Poland, Italy joins in as well, Spain joins, Portugal joins, but since no NATO targets were actively bombed, NATO is not activated. But we still see a lot of the West's influence coming in as a lot of these countries still join despite not having actual obligations to. We see Australia join because it's a war with America. Of course they're going to join. Japan and South Korea join, as they're pretty sick of Russia's shenanigans, and it would probably benefit them if they just focused on Russia now, and then they could deal with China later. But on Russia's side, we see Iran and Belarus joining. And yeah, Kazakhstan's more neutral now. And yeah, that's about it. So, as you can tell, this is going to go great for Russia. Actually, Israel's going to join on the side of the West. So yeah, this is going to go great for Russia. And in the beginning, it kind of does. We see them, I know this is around where the borders are currently in Ukraine. I think the advance is like here. We're just going to assume that they pull out, Ukraine's advance is pulled out in order to defend the country. With Belarus entering into the war, they begin the second attack towards Kiev, which, don't know why you're doing that. Kiev, not even important anymore. The West says if you fire other countries, say if you fire a nuclear weapon again, we're all going to declare war on you. These countries include India, who's going to join the war, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and a lot of Europe. And so Russia decides to abstain from doing world annihilation. And they also know that they can't do it with America. We see Poland attack and do large damage to Kaliningrad, and a small invasion into Belarus is made. Meanwhile, the Finns, being Finns, begin a spearhead to cut off the Kola Peninsula and make another push to get to Leningrad. Wait, what's it? St. Petersburg, that's its name, not Leningrad. Leningrad was such a cool name. I should have heard it since Russia's already trying to reform the Soviets. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, we see Israel declare war on Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, leading to Saudi Arabia joining the side of the blue team, as well as Jordan. With this expansion of the front line, Lebanon is captured and Syria is invaded by a foreign power this time. I don't know if that's improvement. Yemen joins on the side of Russia. Oman joins on the side of America. Yemen dies. Or is dying. We see Saudi Arabia push up into Iraq and begin to threaten their capital of Baghdad. Is that the capital? I think it's the capital. And yeah, so meanwhile in the east, Russia's not bothering to defend here. It's literally just ice. There's like maybe a few settlements off the border of China, and those are taken by the blue team, but but they don't really want to focus here. Most of the Japanese Oceanian, South Korean troops are going to the front in Europe, or going through the strait. I don't know what it's called, and going to Arabia and the Middle East. And New Zealand is involved in this war, but because they're silly Kiwis, I'm not bothering to show them on the map because they don't. In Europe, Finland is able to successfully cut off the whole Kola Peninsula, and we see Russia's advance in Ukraine being stalled, but Belarus is liberated and a small invasion into Poland is made, though this comes at the cost of Kaliningrad. Ukrainian and Western forces, Western forces begin to arrive in Poland and Ukraine, more importantly in Ukraine. Finnish and Nordic forces continue to push towards Leningrad, and I might have accidentally already have them taken it, but hey, and it's not Leningrad, Ben, it's St. Petersburg, silly. Jesus, Bob, we can't even remember these sort of things. Okay, so the Kola Peninsula getting absolutely slapped around, and because it's got like one road that connects the whole thing, it surrenders to the Finnish. Well, when I say Finnish, I mean Scandinavian, but I just keep saying Finnish because I can. Yemen surrenders, Syria joins them, and Iraq is very scared, and as they should be, as they're not having a fun time, as they lose their northern half, Baghdad is captured, and Iran is and the Iraqi government officially surrenders, though Iranian troops still hold the front line. Let's see how long Iran can survive for. It's not gonna be too long. Don't know if you heard that, you might not have, I don't know. I'll have to check the recording later. Meanwhile, in Asia, Russia's, just do this. We also see them stretching up the coast a bit. There's basically just snow and natural resources here, and in the short term, neither of those matter. Or in the long term, to be honest. Snow isn't, the natural resources matter in the long term, but not snow. Snow's useless. Much like Donald Trump. I wasn't. Never mind. So, Poland is liberated, and Belarus is very, very scared. The northern offensive near Kiev is pushed back, as we see Belarus getting invaded from two fronts. Russia decides to introduce mass conscription and begins using its time-shown strategy. I don't know. It's strategy that it's been using for hundreds of years of how many people can we throw at the enemy and have until, either we run out of people or they surrender. And it goes pretty well, actually. We see them push back Ukraine in the eastern front, and Belarusian troops are assisted enough to be able to almost liberate their country. But we also see Belarus being in a lot of civil unrest as the draft is implemented. Finland is pushed back by these new Russian troops, but they are unable to really make a dent in liberating the Kola Peninsula. So, what is everyone's objective? The West's objective is simple: take Moscow, possibly get the Caucasus region, and Leningrad along the way. Russia's plan is live and probably just take out Ukraine and sue for peace. So yeah, Russia's got no idea what it's doing. But what it's doing isn't really, but whatever it is doing, it's not really working. We also see the Baltic countries joining the conflict. This is basically just to look better on the map. The NATO expedition forces in them, or at least the American, England, France, and the blue team NATO expedition forces begin to push up, and St. Petersburg is in a worse position than it was before. So they reorganize this defensive line in Belarus and move them up to push back the Finns and Baltic people? I don't know, Estonians, I guess, but I don't know, man. Baltic peoples, and do a successful defense of St. Petersburg, catching the blue team off guard. But this does come at the cost of Belarus getting absolutely destroyed, Riga is captured, and it's not looking pretty for Russia. But it is looking a bit better in the Ukrainian front, as the remnants of Kiev is encircled but not actually entered, because why the hell would you want to enter that? You're gonna get turn into like the Hulk or Spider-Man or something. But we do see the complete collapse of the Ukrainian front, and you might be wondering, Russia can't defeat Ukraine now. How would they be able to defeat Ukraine with Western help? You see, dear viewer, you should shut up. Meanwhile, Iran is not having a great time. They lose access to the Persian Gulf. This is the Persian Gulf, I think. Might not be. And the spearhead is made to take Tehran. Also, I just find it funny. Iran's capital is called Tehran. You guys that patriotic? You have that big of an ego? So yeah, the West continues to push around, and currently, like, if I think this is a natural scenario, which is, like, it's not unlikely, but it's unlikely to go exactly like this. I think North Korea would probably just, like, because most of the South Korea forces are away, I think they might just jump in and then just go. I mean, wouldn't go well for them, but when has anything North Korea's done go well for them? So, but then China in this scenario stops them from doing that. And to be honest, it really wouldn't go well for them, but this is North Korean intelligence we're talking about. It's not great. So we actually see another party join this war, and that is China. But not on the side of Russia. Instead, it's planning on invading Russia. Chinese troops cross the little border over here, because Western troops have blocked them off in the Manchuria region. And they basically just say, we're defending traditional Chinese peoples. We see them also invade Mongolia, but I'm not going to bother to show that. And they begin to push out. Now you might see me taking Western land here. This is just because maybe I expanded the West's border a bit too much. But they meet up, and they decide not to kill each other and start an even larger conflict. So, yeah, China's going to be involved in this peace treaty, because I don't think they'd let the fall of Russia go to waste. So now Russia's like, what the to China? I didn't swear, YouTube. Please don't demonetize me. So yeah, like, what the hell, China? And China's like, mate, you did it first. And yeah, it's not going well for Russia. Most of their forces are kicked out of Belarus. Their entire pushback their counteroffensive in Ukraine is pushed back. The remnants of Kiev is touched. And we see the offense to retake St. Petersburg go successfully, and St. Petersburg falls. Now, they do have a plan. Now, they want to spearhead, take out Moscow, And yeah, win the war. Wham bam bibbidi bow. If no one gets that reference, you guys should watch Alex Myers. He makes great movie commentary. So yeah, Tehran falls. Iranian forces are pushed around, and a spearhead is made to cut off this eastern northern half to its southern counterpart, and that goes successfully. Iranian forces in the west are pushed back to defending these mountains, and slowly but surely we see the people rising up against the Iranian government, and regions begin to surrender. First this area, then after some more pushbacks and a naval landing over here, the southeast region surrenders, and the mountain troops who are still loyal to the government fight on, though it's not much of a fight, it's more of them just waiting to get annihilated. But, you know, mountains, they're pretty annoying. What am I even saying anymore? Anyway, China continues to do China things and takes over large swaths of land, while the West does the same, but in Europe. We see, oh god, I forgot his name again, this area being liberated, and Russia's offense in Ukraine is completely falling apart, as its troops are reorganized to defend the new push to take Moscow. You might be wondering, what push to take Moscow? This one. And it's going incredibly well. Unlike every other time, I mean, it's beginning to become winter, but the West doesn't care. You know, they're not like, I mean, they have France on their team, so maybe that's bad luck. They also have Germany on their team, so like, maybe they're both going for some revenge over here. But, you know, it goes a lot better than both France and Germany's attempts. In fact, like a certain attempt, Moscow is now in sight. Or I might have accidentally taken it. But just pretend it's in sight. And we see a few more countries join this war in an attempt to get land. This includes Turkey and Georgia and Azerbaijan, leading to Armenia joining the red team. Great decision. This is going to go amazing for you, Armenia. So yeah, with this, the last Iranian resistance is rooted out, and an invasion into the Caucasus Mountains is made. This leads Russia to pull its final troops out of Ukraine in order to make a semi-defensive line down here, but it backfires atrociously, and now they're getting invaded on all sides. So finally, with Moscow being taken, we see the Russians and a spearhead to cut off the Caucasus Mountains being started. We see the Russians suing for peace. This is not going to be pretty for them. Or for you guys, because I'm bad at drawing peace treaties. Heads up. These are the new borders of the world. Let's start in the Middle East, because that is clearly why you all clicked on the video, right? The Middle East? So basically it's like every other peace treaty I've ever done in the Middle East, which is like every video for some reason. I don't know, I quite like the Middle East. It's fun to blow it up over and over again. We see Saudi Arabia taking land out of Iraq. Israel annexes Lebanon and a bit of Syria. Jordan expands into Syria. Turkey, for some reason, expands into Syria, northern Syria and Iraq, even though they just joined for the last 10 minutes of the war, but it's fine. We see Yemen get partitioned between Oman and Saudi Arabia, and the rest is probably going to be a puppet government to America or Saudi Arabia or something, but it's probably just going to be controlled by the Houthi rebels because no one wants to invest in the Middle East. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, political agenda, invest in the Middle East, guys. Iran's government has changed. We see the remaining bit of Iraq and Syria be united into this blob. Yeah, so that happens. Iran's got a new government, as Armenia is annexed by Azerbaijan. Georgia does a new reverse card on Russia and takes land, as well as Azerbaijan. They don't take land out of Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan also takes land. We see a thick Ukraine with full control over Crimea, because I remembered its name. None of the Baltics got land because I forgot they existed until right now. Poland gets goodness, I've got a case of the hiccup. Sorry. Poland gets the enclave known as Crimea because I definitely didn't forget its name. Finland becomes chunky, like really big, and puts Leningrad under threat. So, if Russia's new government, because yes, that's what this blue symbolizes, new government, decides to go against the West, there'll be repercussions. Meanwhile, over here we see China and its sphere of influence type thing, and it annexed quite a bit of Mongolia, so that now Inner Mongolia is inside of Mongolia is now Inner China. This is kind of like the Chinese government's joke, because there's Inner Mongolia in China, now there's Inner China in what was Mongolia. Ha ha ha, very funny. Everyone will get the joke. Definitely. So we see this bit we see these chunks of Russia be taken out and given to China, even though technically most of this land was Western owned. I put Myanmar because I'm just thinking that China's probably gonna just invade Myanmar and then turn it into a puppet. And North Korea is basically a puppet. We see this island, which is called, oh god, what was it called? I had it on my mind like 3 seconds ago. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's returned back to Japan, and the world breathes a sigh of relief. Then China declares war on what? No, that's a different video. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this semi-realistic scenario. Have a great day. Hope you guys have a great day. See ya.